Adana Okoro, a skilled journalist and undercover agent at Times publishing firm, is renowned for her sharp investigative reporting. Balancing her dual roles, she excels at uncovering the truth while discreetly navigating high-stakes missions that expose corruption and serve justice. Walks purposefully through the Lagos crowd. Her sharp, confident eyes scan the path ahead as she skillfully moves through the chaos. Adana adjusts the strap of her leather bag, keeping her pace steady as her phone vibrates in her pocket. She pulls out her phone, her expression softening briefly as she answers the call. It was her editor, Mr. Tepe. His voice crackles through the phone. "Adana, I hope you're ready. This gala isn't just another social event. Tunde Adeyemi's tech is making waves, but something about it smells off. We need a headline, not a mess." The sounds of car horns and distant music fill the background as Adana smirks, her tone confident. "When have I ever given you a mess?" She ducks to avoid a stack of crates being carried by a vendor, her movements graceful and practiced. Her editor sighs, "Just don't get distracted. Tund is not an ordinary man. Stay sharp." Adana's smirk fades as she becomes serious. She slows her pace, stepping into a quieter alley away from the crowd. The faint glow of a flickering streetlight casts shadows on her face. "Don't worry. I'll get what we need," she reassures, then hangs up. She stares at her phone for a moment before tucking it into her pocket. Reaching into her bag, she pulls out a small, sleek recording device and holds it tightly. In a fancy event hall with shining chandeliers and beautiful decorations, guests dressed in elegant clothes sipped champagne and chatted happily. The soft music of a jazz band played in the background, and waiters moved gracefully through the crowd with food trays. Adana entered the room, her heels clicking on the shiny marble floor. She wore a simple but stylish outfit, a black fitted blazer, dark jeans, and ankle boots, which stood out among the gowns and tuxedos. She looked around the room, making sure her recording device was ready. She noticed Tunde Adeyemi at the far end of the hall, talking to a group of middle-aged men in suits. Tunde was tall and confident, wearing a perfect black suit. His sharp gaze made him stand out. "So, that's the genius everyone's afraid of," Adana whispered to herself. She tightened her grip on her glass and slowly moved toward him. She stopped near a large painting, pretending to admire it while listening to Tunde and his companions. One of the politicians, Mr. Ibrahim, a chubby man with graying hair, leaned toward Tunde and spoke with a mix of admiration and concern. "Tunde's AI project is revolutionary. It could reshape our economy and enhance security." A younger man, nervously sipping champagne, added, "But what if it's dangerous? I heard it can predict elections. What if it's used wrongly?" Mr. Ibrahim laughed and patted Tunde on the back. "Don't worry. If anyone can handle this, it's Tunde." Tunde smiled politely, but there was something unreadable in his eyes, pride mixed with something darker. Adana raised her glass to her lips and pressed a button on her bag, starting her recorder. Her heart beat faster with excitement as she listened. She looked at Tunde again, studying him. His movements were controlled, his smiles calculated. But she noticed a slight tension in his jaw when he heard the younger man's words. Even the great Tunde Adeyemi has doubts, she thought. As she stood there, a voice interrupted her thoughts. "Enjoying the painting or the conversation?" Tunde asked smoothly. Adana's heart skipped a beat, but she quickly composed herself. Turning, she saw Tunde just a few feet away, his eyes fixed on her. "Both," she replied with a soft laugh. "It's rare to have art and politics in the same room." Tunde smiled slightly but kept studying her. "Art reveals truths that words hide. Don't you agree?" Adana raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Only if you know where to look." For a moment, the room seemed to shrink around them. Their words were polite, but there was clear tension. Adana felt his gaze, trying to see past her facade. "I don't think we've met," Tunde said. Adana hesitated, thinking quickly. "No, we haven't. But I've heard a lot about you, Mr. Adeyemi," she said with a smile. Tunda tilted his head slightly, his expression unreadable. "And you are?" Before she could answer, Mr. Ibrahim called Tunda to join another group. Tunda glanced back at Adana. "Let's continue this conversation later. I'd like to know what you've heard," he said, lowering his voice. He walked away, leaving Adana deep in thought. She checked her bag to ensure the recorder was still running. "He knows I'm not just another guest. But let's see how far he'll go," she thought.
Hi everyone, just a quick break to remind you to subscribe, like and comment if you're enjoying the story. Your support means so much to us. If you're a new subscriber, welcome to the Akko family. Let us know where you're watching from in the comment section. To our returning subscribers, thank you for always being here. We appreciate you. Now let's dive right back into the story.
Adana glanced around the lavish main hall of the gala, her sharp eyes searching for any sign of vulnerability in the well-guarded estate. Conversations hummed around her, but she was focused on her mission. Spotting an unguarded corridor, she slipped away, her movements quick but discreet. The corridor was dimly lit, its silence a stark contrast to the lively gathering she had just left. She moved with purpose, her heels barely making a sound on the marble floor. At the end of the hall, she found a door with a keypad lock. Without hesitation, she pulled a small tool from her purse, a custom device she always carried for moments like this. After a few tense seconds, the lock clicked open. Adana stepped inside, closing the door softly behind her. The room was a private office, the air heavy with the scent of leather and wood polish. A large desk sat in the center, its surface cluttered with files, blueprints, and an open laptop. Her heart raced as her eyes scanned the chaos. Then she saw it, a thick folder labeled Project Eden. Her fingers trembled as she flipped it open. Inside were detailed blueprints, technical memos, and classified reports. Words like predictive algorithms, behavioral manipulation, and election influence leapt off the pages. She snapped photos of every document, her mind racing with the implications. Suddenly, she heard muffled voices outside the door. Panic surged through her. She shoved the folder back into place and darted behind a tall cabinet. The door creaked open, and two men entered the room. She held her breath, her heart pounding in her chest. Mark spoke. "Tunda doesn't realize the power this tech has. Once the deal is sealed, we'll own this country." Justice responded. "He's too idealistic. If he finds out, he'll destroy everything we've worked for. We need to keep him in the dark." Adana's pulse quickened. Tunda. She knew the name well. Tund, the celebrated tech entrepreneur and philanthropist. His innovative AI system, Project Eden, was supposed to revolutionize governance and ensure transparency. But these men were twisting it into something sinister. The men moved to the desk and quickly sorted through the documents. One of them grabbed a specific folder, stuffing it into his briefcase. They murmured in agreement, occasionally pointing to a blueprint or memo before carefully shredding a few select pages. Mark spoke. "With this data we're set. But we can't leave anything traceable." Justice responded. "Scatter some of these files. It'll look like a mess, not a theft." They began tossing papers haphazardly across the room, creating a chaotic scene. A couple of documents landed near Adana's hiding spot, and she froze, praying they wouldn't look behind the cabinet. Once satisfied, the men gathered their belongings and left the room. Adana holds her breath, her hands trembling. She takes photos of the documents and slips out unnoticed. Back in the grand main hall, Adana stands by the marble pillars, watching Tunda as he speaks with a senator. She clenches her fists, her heart pounding with a mixture of anger and anxiety. The glittering chandeliers above reflect her determination as she waits for the senator to leave. Once Tunda is alone, she strides toward him, her heels clicking sharply against the tiled floor. Adana, quietly but with urgency, "We need to talk. Now." Tunda, caught off guard by her sudden presence and the tension in her voice, narrows his eyes. He looks around briefly before gesturing toward a quieter corner at the far end of the hall. The distant hum of conversation fades as they step into the shadows. Adana, thrusting her phone toward him. Your project is being used to rig elections. Did you know about this? Tunda's confident demeanor falters as he takes the phone from her hand. The images and documents on the screen cast a grim light on his face. Tunda spoke. Where did you get this? Adana responded. Does it matter? Is it true? Tund exhales deeply, his jaw tightening. He hands the phone back to her and looks away for a moment, as if trying to process the weight of the accusation. After a tense pause, Tunda continued. I designed Eden to safeguard democracy, not destroy it. If someone's using it this way, I swear I didn't know. Adana, crossing her arms, skeptica. Hard to believe. You're either lying or dangerously naive. Tunda steps closer, his voice firm and unwavering. I'm neither. But if this is true, I need your help to stop it. Adana stares at him, her instincts screaming to push for answers, but the sincerity in his voice gives her pause. Her journalistic duty wars with the possibility that he might be telling the truth. Adana hesitated. This doesn't end with just stopping it. I want the truth, Tunda, all of it. Tunda, nodding resolute. You'll have it. I promise. Let's meet up after the event. The night is thick with tension as Tund and Adana arrive at the dimly lit parking lot. The flickering fluorescent light above casts eerie shadows across the cracked asphalt. A man in a hoodie steps out from behind an old van, clutching a small flash drive. His face is partially hidden, but his nervous energy is unmistakable. Whistleblower, handing the drive to Tun. This has everything, names, accounts, transactions. But you need to move fast. They're watching everyone, and I mean everyone. Adana glances around, her instincts on high alert. The faint sound of an engine idling in the distance sends a chill down her spine. Suddenly, the lot is flooded with blinding headlights. Black SUVs screech to a halt, surrounding them. Doors slam open, and masked men armed with guns step out in unison. Leader, calmly but menacing. Hand over the drive, and maybe we'll let you walk away. Tund instinctively steps in front of Adana, shielding her with his body. Tund firmly. Leave her out of this. I'll give you what you want. The leader smirks, his voice dripping with disdain. Nice try. You're both liabilities. Before anyone can react, chaos erupts. Tund tackles one of the men, knocking his gun to the ground, while Adana grabs a nearby metal pipe, swinging it with all her strength to fend off another attacker. The lot becomes a battlefield, with grunts, shouts, and the sharp crack of gunfire filling the air. Adana's heart pounds as she narrowly dodges a blow, landing a hit on a masked man's leg. Tund fights with raw determination, using his strength and quick reflexes to disarm another assailant. In the confusion, the whistleblower disappears into the shadows, leaving them to fend for themselves. Tund grabs Adana's arm, pulling her toward a narrow alley. Tund, breathless. Run! They sprint down the alley, their footsteps echoing off the brick walls. Behind them, the shouts of the masked men grow fainter. Finally, the rain starts to drizzle, making the dimly lit alley glisten under the faint glow of a flickering streetlight. Tundi and Adana lean against the damp brick wall, catching their breath. The distant hum of the city feels miles away as tension crackles between them. Tundi, panting, glancing over his shoulder. This is bigger than I thought. They won't stop until they have it. Clutching the drive tightly, Adana responds. Then we expose them. Together. It's the only way. Tundi turns to her, his usual air of confidence replaced by something rare, vulnerability. His voice drops to a near whisper. Do you trust me? Adana's eyes search his face, the weight of his question heavy in the air. For a moment, the rain is the only sound. She takes a shaky breath, then nods, her resolve hardening. Dana, I don't know, but I'll risk everything for the truth. Tundi places a hand on her shoulder, his touch firm but reassuring. This isn't just about the truth, Adana. It's about what we're willing to sacrifice to protect it. Are you sure you're ready? Adana looks at him, her eyes blazing with determination. But she was speechless. A sudden noise, a clattering trash can, startles them. Cindy instinctively pulls Adana closer, scanning the shadows. A figure moves in the distance, briefly illuminated by the glow of a passing car's headlights. Tundi spoke urgently. We don't have much time. Let's move. They begin walking, their steps quick but deliberate. The faint glow of the flash drive in Tundi's hand casts an eerie light, a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. As they approach the edge of the alley, Adana glances at Tundi. If this goes wrong, Tundi replied, cutting her off. It won't. Not if we stick together. Tundi leads Adana through the dark streets of Lagos, sneaking through alleyways to stay hidden. They arrive at a tall apartment building. Tundi quickly enters the security code to let them inside. The apartment is spacious but simple, with big windows showing the sparkling city lights. There's a leather couch in the middle, and one wall is full of books on technology and innovation. Adana paces by the window, her mind racing. Is this your apartment? She asks. Tundi, leaning against the kitchen counter, pours water into 2 glasses and hands her one. Tundi replied gently. Drink. You need to calm down. Adana responded angrily. Calm down. We were almost killed tonight, Tundi. And I still don't know if I can trust you. Tundi puts down his glass and looks at her gently. Adana, I've never lied to you. Not about the dangers, not about Eden. I brought you here because I didn't want you to get hurt. Adana turns to face him, her emotions mixed. Adana, in a whisper. What is in the flash drive that guy handed to you? Tundi steps closer, looking steady. Important information. Do not worry, I will explain everything to you in time. I wanted you there because I needed someone I could trust. And because I couldn't stop thinking about you after the first time I saw you at the event. The room feels smaller as they stand face to face. Adana looks into his eyes, trying to see if he is telling the truth. Adana, hesitant. This isn't fair, Tundi. You don't get to play with my feelings when the stakes are this high. Tundi spoke earnestly. I'm not playing, Adana. I've been in this fight for years, and I've never met anyone like you. You're bold, brilliant, unstoppable. Adana's breath catches. She wants to resist, but the sincerity in his voice pulls her in. This is crazy. Tundi, smiling faintly. Maybe. But it's real. He brushes a stray strand of hair from her face, and before she can think, he kisses her. The kiss is intense, a mix of passion and desperation. Adana melts into the moment, her hands finding their way to his chest. For a fleeting second, the chaos of their situation fades away. They made love. They pull away, both breathing heavily. Adana steps back, reality crashing down around her. Adana, shaking her hair. She just had made love with the person she was meant to investigate. He spoke softly. Give me a chance to prove myself. Adana crosses her arms, her guard back up. You've got one chance, Tund. Don't make me regret this. He nods, a faint smile tugging at his lips, but his eyes show a flicker of guilt. That night, as they sleep, Tundi switches the original flash drive with a different flash drive. Tund said to himself, I'm sorry, Adana, but some truths are too dangerous to share. The next morning, Adana, while dressing up to leave, she tells Tundi, if you want me to trust you, then you have to give me the flash drive. He agrees and hands her the fake one. They kiss and part ways. Adana goes back to work excitedly. As she enters the Times publishing firm, she greets her colleagues and goes straight to Mr. Tepee's office. Inside, her team Ao, Lizzie, Chioma and Chubby are there. They have worked together on many different cases. Full of excitement, she sits down and briefs them on how the case went and how she got the evidence from Tundi. But she leaves out the part where she went intimate with her target. Mr. Tepee smiles, impressed, and asks her to hand over the flash drive. Mr. Tepee inserts the flash drive into a laptop to view the information, only to find that the most important data has been erased. Shocked, he asks Adana, "Did you not check the flash when you handed it to me?" She freezes. "This is unlike you, Adana. You are not usually careless. How could you not verify the information? I told you Tund is a smart man. How could you? What really happened? I hope you haven't gone soft on him." In shock she says, "I will fix this, sir. I'm sorry." She steps out of the room, dialing 2NDE number, but it goes to voicemail. She realizes she has been tricked. She asks herself how she could be so stupid, how she allowed him to deceive her. Now she has placed herself and her team in danger because the masked men saw her face.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to stay connected by leaving your thoughts in the comments, giving the video a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you're the first to know when a new content drops. We appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you in the next video.